Wendy to give a prayer as well.
1 2 1 2. Well, we're live. Yeah, Wendy, start us out with a prayer. That'd be epic. Can you unmute yourself there?
Sure.
Wendy, are you ready?
Honored. All right. So just taking a moment and bringing your awareness into your heart center, taking a breath, and just meeting in the heart. So very grateful for this opportunity. So very grateful for this beautiful sacred circle. So very grateful for the Creator, for this infinite presence that is everywhere in its fullness. Grateful for the invitation that is beckoning us always to go deeper and deeper into knowing our oneness with all that is. And in this moment of surrendering everything before all that is this infinite presence, surrendering everything that has come before this present moment so that we are free and fresh and clear and open and available to the insights and the inspiration, just honoring this time together, each and all of us coming together to reveal and reflect the glory of God through and as our very life, and honoring RFK Jr. as he continues to be that way shower. She continues to be such a courageous stand for peace, for truth, for health, for wellness, and that each and every person here, each and every person is a light unto the world. And that as we come together, we unify in the global heart, anchoring truth, transparency, love, knowing that love always has the final word. So dedicating these moments together to inspiration and upliftment, clarity to truth, knowing that it falls on open ears, fertile minds, open hearts, and that transformation unfolds. And for this and so much more, I am eternally grateful and thankful. And I simply allow this to be, knowing it is done, knowing it is so. I invite us all to say, and so it is. Amen, amen. Ashe, aho.
And
Amen.
so it is.
Amen. So it is.
Amen.
That is the way. So the truth. Yeah, the truth. Yeah. Tracy's ready. What do you say, Tracy?
Oh, I say I'm excited to be here to reflect on the grilling, hearing today of Secretary Kennedy. And I'd also love to reflect on a podcast I was on that came out today, Why Should I Trust You?, with the 3 recently resigned CDC folks and 3 other MAHA folks, as it ties into some of what Kennedy was sharing. That I'll wait till the right time, and unless you want me to reflect on that now.
Well, let's come back to that. I want to get to this. Kennedy stuff is just so amazing. I want to play a quick clip by him talking today. This was Kennedy earlier. Let's see.
We are the sickest country in the world. That's why we have to fire people at CDC. They did not do their job. This was their job to keep us healthy.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
I need to fire some of those people to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Can I get an amen? Oh my gosh, the sickest
Amen.
country. Jeez, everything wrong during COVID. Brett Weinstein pointed this out. It wasn't just that they got everything wrong. It's like that they actually implemented the inverse, like the worst thing possible. Like stay inside, huff plastic. Don't see your loved ones when they're dying. Give them remdesivir and a ventilator. Don't give them vitamin C or vitamin D. Like everything they recommended was absolutely the worst for us. And these people want to gaslight us and tell us, oh, we have this Mockingbird media, safe and effective. Aren't you programmed? And it's just like, we've got study after study after study they want to dismiss. When meanwhile, they're pushing shots on our kids, new updated versions of the mRNA tech with 5 mice in a study for safety. Just unbelievable. Can you believe that? I meant to throw it to you, Nicole, there. The sovereign sapient. I want to introduce the inalienable sovereignty. Nicole, welcome. It's so glad you could join us.
Yes, thank you. So I think it's not really a matter of people in this organization not doing their jobs. I think that they were doing their jobs, but they were only doing them for pestilence profiteers. And I use that term purposefully because I don't think people realize that the corporatism that we have in our systems of governance right now is also a disease. It's a societal disease, and it's caused a moral decay because now, they are basically increasing the amount of injectables for newborns because they passed a law that gave liability shields to the industry. And I mentioned many times, even so, I used to live in California, and Gavin Newsom at the time was, they were all pushing the mandates. And I mentioned, but if you don't have a way for somebody to be harmed to have any recourse, you can't ethically mandate it, right? So they did create this new one for the new countermeasure that was separate from the one that they did for the children in 1986. And you can see, I don't know if anyone's noticed the numbers on the amount of people who filed claims there, but how many people have actually been awarded anything? And so it's an absolute travesty. And I'm not sure why there isn't moral outrage with everyone. It doesn't matter what party you belong to. I don't think it's a partisan issue at this point. It's more of a humanitarian one. We should be concerned about not only just health, but when people are being harmed. And so I think that definitely needs to be brought into the conversation more. We need to help the victims in the wake of this pestilence profiteering. There are injured people out there, and they're not getting the help they need, and they've been silenced, they've been censored. And I think that really should be addressed.
Pestilence profiteering. I like that. What, Paul, you like stealth genocide. What do you have to say about that?
Thanks, Johnny. I could listen to you guys all day long. And yes, Tracy, I loved hearing you as well with Aaron. What a combination. Very powerful. And I had the dubious honor of hearing much of the hearing today. And it was the same old stuff. We know, right? We know what the attacks are about. My question is, the Upton Sinclair quote, it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it. And these people, similar to what Nicole said, they're not bad people, but they're incentivized to kind of go along with the narrative, go along with the scheme. Now, I come from Wall Street. I know what that looks like from Wall Street, and how, these investment bankers can engage in that kind of activity where it's not necessarily what's good for society, but it's what's good for them and for their corporations. And why should medicine be any different? Why should we trust the white jackets more than we do the suit and tie on Wall Street? And people want to trust the medical profession. They want to, there's an inherent fear there, right? Do I dare challenge the medical establishment? Do I dare, side with Bobby Kennedy? He's criticizing all of these professionals, all of these people that I'm supposed to be in reverence of, and it takes a lot of courage. It takes challenging one's own prior beliefs. It takes critical thinking, and it takes, not taking sides and being willing to be part of something where you're going to join hands with somebody that you once opposed. And I think, Johnny, that, and we've talked about this, there's so much common ground, but the powers that be want the people fighting. And like Bobby Kennedy says, as long as people are fighting out there in the world, then the king and queen go back inside and pop the champagne corks because they're not coming over the castle wall. And that's exactly what's going on now. Bobby is the David fighting Goliath here, guys. And this is a battle for the ages. And I am honored, truly honored to be part of this battle with you guys and with so many others. So, yeah.
Amen, Paul. Yes, absolutely. I was watching this today. All the mothers of children who are being gaslit. This is just 250,000 American mothers testified to watching their child develop autism after, and we let these profiteers of pestilence. These are predators and these are imperialists from other countries. They have no loyalty to us as a people or a nation. These are international conglomerates who are profiteering. That's exactly it. Gaslighting us, propagandizing us, and it's an assault on our rights. That's why I say imperialist, because they're after our legislation right now. That taking our right to hold those who are harming the most accountable. This is a suspension of rule of law for the worst, for those harming us the worst. And it is a once in a generation, however you want to call it, genocide that's happening to us. Tam, I saw this. I thought of you today. We spoke about these issues, and you're so passionate as well. Welcome. It's good to see you. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm good. I've been so busy, but the last couple of days, it's everything in the news has caught my attention. Every time I get on a feed, it's like the same headline: 9 former CDC employees want RFK Jr. resign. It's like the same. It's like they're copying and each the headline, and like each station, each media is like posting that. And they have all of it. It got me really fired up. And so today, when I saw, I saw that there was going to be a hearing, and I haven't been keeping up because I've been busy with my family and everything since February. But I watched the hearing, and it just made me so mad to hear these senators sit there and they yell at Bobby. And everything they're saying is not science. It's like they're quoting the same textbook remarks that that people are feeding into, and you can't even it's not science, especially like here being a mom of a vaccine injured child. And I work in the autism community. I work for the Autism Society of North Carolina, so every day that's all I do is I talk to families that have so many, they have autism is affecting them, and it's challenging for them because they don't know what to do. They're out of resources. They can't get to these resources. And even there are resources, there's not enough because the numbers are going up so high. And so it's just so frustrating to be surrounded by autism and profound autism, and to see that these people are still like doing the same things, pushing the vaccinations, and saying how Bobby is endangering the kids' lives. And it's like, I love that he made that statement. Like, he just got in here. How is he endangering them? This is all the work of everything that's happened the past couple of years. But
I never promised that I was going to recommend products.
Oh my gosh, technical issue here. I'm sorry.
That I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
All right, let me set up this clip here. This is Warren. You were talking there, Tam. I loved what you were saying about how, there's just no science on their side and they're just gaslighting us. And this was the height of this exchange here with Warren and Kennedy today. I thought it was remarkable.
I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Yeah,
I love that he threw that in there.
You made me listen to that again.
I love it.
I just want to add that it's just so awful that, everyone.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Sierra. Try again.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Yeah, I want to say something, piggyback off something that someone was saying. I'm in California, and I was MAHA before MAHA was MAHA, and before it even existed. And I was very actively engaged in attempting to eliminate SB 277, SB 276, SB 792, going up to Sacramento many, many times. And one of the things that I learned, especially as a mom who works with other moms, is that some of these people truly believe that this is a miracle, that these shots are really going to keep their kids safe, that this is what you do when you love your children. Like, not everybody is really out to, to harm or to lie or to propagandize. That comes from a lot of the elected officials, because I literally stood in the room with elected officials, met with elected officials, brought binders, parents with binders this thick of doctors' records and things that they've had to do because their children were vaccine injured, and them going, I'm so sorry that that happened. And we still need to protect the children, not thinking about natural immunity and health and sunlight and supplements and all the things that go into truly making someone healthy, not thinking about the fact that when you get a shot, it only lasts for a certain amount of time. And does it really make sense that by the time a child is 18, that they have 72 shots? Like, does it really make any sense? And then when you start to see a child regress, does it make sense? Don't you stop and say, hey, I'm noticing some changes. How many moms go into the doctor's offices? Because I used to say this all the time. No elected official is with a parent at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning when your child is screaming or throwing up or sick. No one's there, but they pretend like they care so much about what's happening with your child, but they don't listen. You go into a doctor's office, and a doctor will say, oh, mom, you're this, you're being too this, you're being too that. Meanwhile, nobody knows their child better than a parent. Ever, like ever, ever, ever. And so listening to this is, listening to the hearing today and thinking back to the journey that I've been on, supporting parents whose marriages end, who lost jobs. I mean, before even COVID happened, because they couldn't take care of their kids. And what you said, Tam, about, when kids age out and how there's not all these resources. And then we have COVID, and listening to the same people say the same things, like Warren. And then Bobby's like $850,000 from pharma, like, hello. And then that, the Democrat from Lujan from
New Mexico.
From Mexico.
New Mexico.
Shaming Bobby. I had this for you, but now I'm not going to give this to you. I'm like, hello, like it was. I have so much respect for Bobby because he's stalwart, he's steadfast, he is unmovable. He really exemplifies I shall not be moved. Like, he is so committed to his vision, and he's been that way. And to witness this kind of dog and pony show and this attack on him, they attack his character. They don't even look at the real science or look at the children. You go to a hearing, like I remember when I went to my first hearing for SB 277, and the halls were lined. They had never in their entire years of having hearings seen as many parents, grandparents with children that were healthy, unhealthy, the ones who have kids that are profoundly impacted and injured by vaccines can't even be there. So it's a travesty against humanity. And to listen to these elected officials lie and make these accusations is beyond. It's beyond. But I wanted to just put that plug in because not everybody is bad. Not everybody is motivated by a desire to perpetuate a lie. Some of them are just so, they're just so brainwashed or fear-based. So I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah. And I would say it sometimes does take someone in your life who is injured to wake you up. So it wasn't until like 2018 when my wife said to me, I said, I'll see you later. I'm getting a flu shot. And she said, don't go, don't do it. This is what happened to me. And she was paralyzed for 6 months with Guillain-Barré syndrome 20 years before we met. And during those 6 months, she was trying to figure out what happened to her. And it was only through a network of friends and figuring out what happened to somebody else. It wasn't through doctors. The doctors were just denying it. But it was through my trust of her that I then didn't get a flu shot. But I had never before known that when the government offers you a vaccine, they're also not giving you the risks and the alternatives. And I think part of the problem is that when you have a discipline like public health that combines top-down government operations and science, it ends up being more about one size fits all. And one size fits all medicine is not best practice medicine. Best practice medicine is personalized. So, like when it came to the pandemic, someone smart like Jay Bhattacharya is saying with pandemics, we look at who is affected, what population is affected, and we will do things for the elderly and the immune compromised, but we won't shut down schools and we won't shut down the whole economy. But I think we just moved to a very authoritarian place very quickly. And I just want to comment on what somebody said about the word reverence for vaccines. And I've been watching some of Peter McCullough and John Leake's videos about their new book, which is about vaccines and mythology and history. And it's really become a religion. And that's what makes the most sense to me, with rituals and white coats and shots and everything. And even more so than some religions itself. Like I was a Unitarian Universalist, which we have a broad variety of beliefs, but people believed more strongly in vaccines than in their own other religious beliefs. But I also want to say, when I was preparing for that podcast yesterday, Why Should I Trust You, with the 3 CDC.
We have to acknowledge that there was a cause.
I realized that what's behind vaccine ideology is a determination only to look at the benefits and to ignore the costs. So it would be kind of like an accountant who worked for your company and they only looked at the revenue and not the costs. And you don't know that you're bleeding and that you're in debt at the end of it all. And it's like completely imbalanced. And during the call with the CDC folks, there was this Dimitri Daskalakis, and he was sounding reasonable during the call. In his public statements, he's not reasonable. He's like, we only have one bite at the apple. We have to give the kids the hepatitis B shot in the beginning, and the COVID shots at 6 months, and so on. And basically, he was talking about risks and benefits and informed consent. And I was like, wow, that just sounds so reasonable and so completely what the CDC did not do during COVID.
Tracy, I love what you're saying
Tracy.
there. Go ahead.
I'm going to be only on for a couple more minutes, Johnny. Thank you so much. Where is the humility? There is a distinct lack of humility in this profession.
Yeah.
Overrun by hubris. And, how much do we really know about the human body? I'm going to say, 2%, if that. And we've learned a tremendous amount over the last 50 years. But we are in our infancy of truly understanding the human body and its place in the universe. Yeah. And yet, these institutions and the hallowed halls of big pharma and the WHO and the NIH, until Bobby came in, they were prancing around like they knew 92%, and they could start creating policies and mandates, and we know what's best for you. And like you said, we don't need functional medicine. We can just dictate policies for everyone. This actually has precedent in history, and it goes back to the days of Rockefeller and the Flexner Report in 1910, and we can trace it from the early days. Even we could even theoretically go back to the days of slavery, and there were examples of this in England in the 1800s, and we had the same battle. It's the same battle, and we are back to our fight for independence. Like I said, if we can just lay aside the partisanship and get out of that boxing ring of conflict, we have so much in common, and we can rise above that and start asking the important questions. what's best for my children, what's best for my friends and neighbors, you know. And we don't have to have the answers. We just need to be able to ask the questions together. So, yeah.
Yes.
Well said, Paul. Well said.
I actually wrote an article called The Hubris of Scientism, and I talked about that. I view this as like it's dogma in a lab coat, right? We've just transformed from the dogma of religion, you know, where they can do no wrong. And that's really the problem that I see in the dialogue right now is it's either this or that. It's black or white. You're either with it or you're against it. You're pro it or you're anti it. And there's so much more nuance and dimensionality to all of this. There are people who can, you know, honestly say they were injured from the first countermeasure, right? And they want to get medical exemption, and people are calling them anti-vaxxers. Like, they just got it. They just got the injection. So it's just completely lacking even in rational thought or reasoning. So it's how do you have a conversation then with people who aren't really engaging their faculty because they're stimulated in a continual state of crisis, of fear or hatred, right? So the media punditry will keep people excited in that state, right? So that affects your limbic system. They're in their fight or flight response. They can't even have a rational discussion about things. So yeah, how do we do that? How do we build the bridge then with the people who have been, you know, manipulated to be so fearful?
It's like cult breaking. It's literally cult breaking. And, you know, it's like both sides, I think, and especially the other side has been really, you know, this mass formation psychosis that, you know, Dr. Malone was describing. It is like a full-on propaganda. And the litmus test is you have to say that, you know, kids can choose their gender. This is how bad it's got. You know, Kennedy kind of likened it to a religious thing here. I want to play this clip real quick. See if this comes up. They were trying to get him to.
We acknowledge that there was a benefit. We can't quantify either one because of the data chaos at CDC, and that's all I'm saying. And they think I'm being evasive because I won't make a kind of a statement that's almost religious in nature. Did it save 1 million lives? Well, there's no data to support that. Or maybe data, you know, there's no study that there's modeling studies, there's faulty data. I'm not going to sign on to something if I can't do it to a scientific certainty. It doesn't mean that I'm, you know, anti-vax. It just means I'm pro-science.
Bam, mic drop. I love this guy.
My favorite quote.
Oh man, change has enemies. That's another one. A good one. Bring him back again. Yeah, they were upset this time, guys. Why are they so upset? You know, the whole tiff with Elizabeth Warren was about, you know, how she's saying the vaccines aren't available enough. You can't get them at all the pharmacies like you could a month ago. You know, some states are pulling them now. Why? Because it looks like liability is being restored. That they no longer have this suspension of rule of law when it comes to these experiments. And so yeah, there's liability maybe now. So yeah, this is stand by your product. Stand by your product. If it's safe, you don't need a liability shield. You know, just for those who don't know, I love to emphasize this. Back in '86, they got a liability shield for the kids' vaccination schedule because, in their own words, they use the words unavoidably unsafe, and that's when we had 3 vaccines. How many vaccines do we have now? You know, it's gone 5x, 6x, 7x, depending on how you look at it, and just wild, guys. We got to jump off here in a little bit, but I want to go around the room for some closing thoughts. Sierra, let's test your mic here. We haven't heard from you.
Yeah, I just would like to echo what you said about it being sort of a cult mindset, and you know, the cognitive dissonance is so thick. People are attacking Bobby, saying he's not a doctor, right? He's not qualified, he's a lawyer. Well, Biden's HHS secretary was not a doctor and he was a lawyer, and nobody even ever brought him up. You know, he was never questioned. And then they say you have to listen to a doctor, and we've got the Surgeon General of Florida who's likening vaccine mandates to slavery, who has a MD and a PhD from Harvard and is a doctor, and they can't trust him either, right? So there's no logical train of thought. It really is just this group think, if I'm on the right side, I'm going to regurgitate the mockingbird media, as you called it.
Yeah. One thing that was interesting was when Bernie Sanders said the entire medical, community believes blah, blah, blah. It's just right away, that's untrue. Because even if one doesn't believe that, then he's wrong.
Yeah.
And he is wrong. And so it's kind of ridiculous.
Speaking of ridiculous, I would just say I really have a hard time, a real distaste for watching these hearings because I expect a level of decorum with lawmakers. And you would think that if you're having a
Absolutely.
hearing to find out something about the secretary and his work, we'd want to be hearing from him more than listening to diatribes and, talking points and using all of this rhetoric. And it's just, they're doing a disservice to the American people, I think. And it's a reflection on them, actually. I would hope that people would see these senators' behavior and go, why are we voting for this person? Instead, they're really just playing to their base, which is more, based on hate and fear. And that doesn't do anything to help, have like rational discourse about what are we doing to help the problems that we're seeing. Rather than attacking
Yeah, and it's completely childish, bullying theatrics, completely unprofessional. They don't let him finish his sentences. They don't hear his answers. They cut him off. They take advantage of the fact that he is physically challenged speaking. And, if the tables were turned and it was Bobby, treating Senator Warren like that or Biden like that when he's, having a speech impediment moment, it would be an outrage, right? But it's just somehow completely okay for them to have this level of disrespect and unprofessionalism that I just agree with you totally we should not be seeing and he should not be enduring.
Hey, I have a question for all of you about the Trump, the Pfizer CEO saying to Trump that he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. When I first saw that, I just thought Pfizer's trying to manipulate Trump into going back to, Operation Warp Speed was the greatest ever, instead of Pfizer being honest when Trump is now challenging Pfizer. Have you lied to me, or have you given me all the data? And so I was a little surprised when Bobby said that he supported him getting the Nobel Peace Prize. But I also think that there's a deliberate attempt to try to divide Bobby and Trump. And so
you guys are masters of the psyop, guys. We're up against those who have
This is like a
60 plus countries, 60 plus movements, right? Yeah, they are experts.
This is like a chess game. It's like a chess game on a huge level. And for me, what strikes me always about Bobby is his humility, his willingness to be honest, and his essence. Because in this game of politics, which is pretty brutal, I often liken, it's like shark infested waters. And the minute I hear Warren or Sanders or, this gentleman from New Mexico, I'm like,
Lujan.
You're right. I thank you for that, Tracy. I think you are not in your essence. You are totally coming from your ego here. You don't want to listen. You're going to do the talking points so that your people, the people that support you, are going to continue to support you. And Bobby is continually walking that line of the call on his heart. So this whole Nobel Peace, it's a chess game. How can we do that? And it's true what you said, if they can divide Bobby and Trump, right? Then we won. We can get rid of him. This whole thing that's on social media, that's just, let's get him out of there. My invitation to everyone, and this includes myself, because when I watch that, I become somebody I don't even know. I'm just like, oh my God. So it's like to go back to supporting and standing right behind, right alongside Bobby, just holding him up and remembering that love always wins and mediocrity always attacks excellence. And he is committed wholeheartedly, whole soul, wholeheartedly to the promises that he made when he was running for president and even before then. So those people, it's like it's not that we deny it or dismiss it, but we listen to them and they're like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. And however we can get in there to drop a seed, spawn to something, that's our invitation. That's our invitation. And I'm not saying we ignore it. I'm just saying otherwise, you know, you can't, Einstein, right? You can't solve a problem at the level of the consciousness that created the problem. So we do have to rise above. I know it sounds so lofty, and in the midst of it, you know, it's not always easy to reach for, but that is the only way that we are going to help him help us. And so I'm grateful for this dialogue and for each and all of you, the work that you're doing. It's so good to see you and be with you. Some of you I know from the campaign. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for him, for his courage. And I invite everybody to join the prayer circle anytime you want. So yeah, let's keep rocking on. Let's just keep one foot in front of the other, raising that
Thank
flag.
you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Mhm.
Lord help us. Tam, you got any closing thoughts for us? What do you say?
I was just thinking, like when I was watching the hearing, and I'm still not done. I have it on pause right now. I think I'm only on who Wyden just finished, so it's someone else. But I wonder if the way they respond, their response would be different if you line up the hallways with all the vaccine injured children and the moms and go in there and tell our stories, because I can guarantee you, like, there's so many stories out there, and there's not enough time in the world for us to, these, and not enough room for the moms to come in there and show these senators or these committees, like, this is what happened to my child. And no, I'm not making up. It's the same story, and we're going to be taking care of our kids for life. And like, what are you going to do about that? Like when these kids get older, how are we going to be able to sustain the resources for them? Because that is one thing they're not looking at, is when the kids get older, they need someone to care for them when the parents are no longer around. And the country is not going to be able to do that. And I mean, Bobby said that before too, I was trying hard today to find that there was a post I posted a long time ago about showing the autoimmune diseases that has gone up in the last decade or two of, like allergies, eczema, rheumatoid arthritis, ADHD, autism. And it was comparison with the number of vaccines. And I couldn't find it, but I wanted to post it for everyone that was like, he's endangering, the lives of these children, like our kids are going to die. And it's like, he just got into office. Like, if you want to blame someone, like, blame all the officials and all the experts that's been there doing this and taking a blind eye of what's happening, because it's happening right now. We can sit here and name, I mean, pretty much every family has a child with some kind of disability. And
He announced it today. 76%. This is the latest data. 76% of Americans have a chronic disease.
yeah,
Missouri just this last week, they declared emergency. The infant mortality is at its highest in 40 years. A lot of reports of this due to the mRNA vaccine. It seems like it has a magnet for the testes, for the ovaries, the ACE2 receptor. Yeah, really, really alarming. People, we're in a fertility crisis. We're a sick, broken, dying country. We got to change that. And yeah, we're making strides finally. And just real quick, I just want to say, for anybody listening, same way they went after our liability shields in 1986, they're coming after for the same thing for our food right now, for our pesticides. So this big ag liability shield is the same deal, taking away our rights to stand up for ourselves. So Section 453 is in Congress now. It's a great time to Tell our congressman, no, we demand our constitutional rights are non-negotiable. And yeah, we got to make our country safe again, or our food and medicine safe again.
What's
Dude,
the
thank
time?
you everybody for joining. Go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, what's the timing on that? By when are we supposed to contact folks about
Okay,
that?
so it's in well, so Congress just got back into session, and so they're doing markups on the appropriation bill, and a lot of them have passed. So before long, they're going to be voting on the next bill, and this is one that snuck in, Section 453. And while you're at it, you can mention Section 507. This is about toxic sludge, forever chemicals, and not doing anything about it. It's another handout subsidy for big ag there. So. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, this was such a great conversation. We gotta do it again soon. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks,
Thank
Johnny.
you.
Good to
Thanks,
see
Johnny.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Great to be with you all. Great to
It's
see
good
you.
to see you.
Love.